Welcome to the Heal Your Hunger Show, where we get to the heart of why you overeat and how to stop. If you struggle with food and weight like I did, welcome home. Welcome everybody to the Heal Your Hunger Show. So happy to have you here. It is a great day to be alive. And oh my goodness, you're going to love my guest today. And it's all about getting heart healthy. So before I jump into that, I want to say, guess what? We're coming up on the new year and I am so excited about the upcoming Quit Sugar Challenge. So guess what? You can join us for so little money. I'm making this super dirt cheap so everybody can join and everybody can get free from sugar with my Quit Sugar Challenge. It's so much fun. It's 5 days and you will literally, drop sugar from your diet, start dropping pounds, definitely start, increasing your health, reducing inflammation. There's so many benefits women get from the Quit Sugar Challenge in just 5 days. So make sure to sign up and go to quitsugarchallenge.com and join us for that. Now, if you have not yet also been a part of the Secret Sauce to End Emotional Eating, this is a Facebook group that's free, but it's private for emotional eaters only. And you can join us there by going to Facebook and typing in the Secret Sauce to End Emotional Eating. We're recording this today live in the Secret Sauce group. So when you're part of the group, you get the recordings live as they're happening. You can ask questions, that we'll jump on after and answer. And you learn about all the upcoming cool things that we're doing. So hot off the press information happens in the Secret Sauce group. So make sure to go to Facebook and be a part of it. And lastly, if you're not sure if you're an emotional eater, you can take the quiz. We have a free quiz on the website, my website, healyourhunger.com, HEAL, healyourhunger.com. And this is an emotional eating quiz, which will help you determine if you're an emotional eater or a food addict or somewhere in between. And you get a personalized score when you take this quiz. So take the quiz, it takes 3 minutes, if that, and find out, get your personalized score and find out where you stand on the emotional eating spectrum. Okay. Because a lot of people have, varying ideas about what emotional eating is. They think it's just if they're bingers, which is not true, or if they're overweight, which is not necessarily true. So, find out, get your score. Okay. On with the show. Really excited to be here with you. I have an amazing guest that you're going to love today. And I wanted him to come on and talk about being heart healthy. Okay. So, we don't talk about the heart all the time. I think obviously in general conversation, we don't talk about the heart, but even when we're talking about health, we forget to talk about heart health. And so I wanted this amazing functional medicine doctor to come on, Dr. Dan Cardellichio, to talk about really cardiovascular health and why it's so important and why the foods we eat so directly affect our heart. And we got to have our hearts, strong and healthy for us, for longevity and happiness and health. So welcome, Dr. Dan. So glad to have you here.
Thank you very, very much, Tricia. It's interesting. I'm usually doing the interviewing, but thank you very much. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here. And I look forward to inspiring and educating your audience.
Yeah, thank you so much. So you just blew me away by telling me before we got started that you yourself had a heart attack at a very young age. Can we start there? Will you talk about that?
My pleasure. Thank you for asking that. That's a great question. So by trade, I'm a chiropractor. And when I graduated chiropractic school, it was a long time ago. It was in the 80s, late 80s. And we decided, partners and I decided to have 3 different offices because we wanted multiple offices. And we had them in 3 different states. It was New Jersey, it was New York, and Connecticut, because why not? We were type A personalities. And during that time, it was very stressful, going from office to office, running 3 different offices. We literally had over 100 employees at one time.
Wow.
So we had very large offices. A lot of stress associated with this. And during that time, my eating habits were really, really bad, Tricia. It was fast foods, any
Right, because you're
fast
on the
food.
road all the time. I know that tri-state area and the traffic's awful and you're like on the road all the time.
All the time. And I used to wear ties back then. My tie was just filled with food or coffee or donuts, whatever it was. And I was just eating so significantly bad during those times. And it could be anything I can get my hands on. I went from in college being a Division I athlete, graduating chiropractic school at 190 pounds. Next thing you knew it, I was at 260 pounds.
Wow.
I was heavy. I was a big
That's
boy.
heavy.
Coming out of my New Jersey office, Belt Parkway in Brooklyn by the Riding Academy, there is a dirty water dog truck because I would stop there at 1 o'clock, exactly at 1 o'clock every Friday. There were 3 dogs and a can of Coke, and I put $1 down. I went up directly. I didn't even wait. He had them ready for me. They were on the side, and I just put the $1 down and I took them. I got in the car until I got into the New York office. Then there was pizza ready for me, and it was bad. And
here you are helping people with their health, right?
Well, you know what? What happened is that after I had the heart attack, I felt really like a fraud. Here I am, a healthcare provider, and I'm telling people, advising people on how to be healthy. And I felt so bad. It was that imposter type syndrome.
Yeah, sure.
Right. That I had.
A lot of doctors, and health coaches feel that way if they have their own issues with food and weight, but they're directing other people on their issues with food and weight. It can be, really disjointed and energetically, for sure.
It was a tough time for me, and I had to change my ways. I mean, during the month that I had the heart attack, I knew I was having a heart attack, by the way. You know it.
Wow.
In my mind, I knew I was having a heart attack, and it was like I couldn't stop it. I couldn't stop eating.
Will you talk to us about the symptoms?
Oh, yeah. So during this time, my hands were shaking, sweating a lot, pale, brain fog, very tired, extremely lethargic. And, it was I just didn't feel right that way. And I remember Sunday night, I awoke my wife Sunday night and I said, "This is it." And she goes, "What are you talking about?" I said, "This is it, Tricia." She looked at me. She turned on the light. She said to me, "You're going to die." We went to the hospital Sunday night, went through the whole testing. I wasn't having the heart attack just yet. I was dizzy. I was getting tunnel vision at that point. And remember coming home from the hospital, and I said, "Yeah, there's still not something right." I went to my medical doctor the next day. We did a bunch of blood work. That was Monday. Tuesday, now it's Tuesday. And so now I'm in the office, busy day, 10 treatment rooms, 3 deep in the waiting room, Tricia. And it happened where tunnel vision, I'm going in and out of consciousness. Wow. I'm sweating, I'm shaking. My office manager said to me, "You're going to die." I looked at her and I said, "I'm going. I'm out." Across the street is a hospital from my office. Right there is the ER. Went to the ER. I'm walking in the ER, and there is an orthopedic surgeon that I refer to as a chiropractor, and he was just happened to be in the ER that day. Wow. And he looked at me and he said, "Dan, you're going to die."
Oh my God.
That was 3 times in a couple of days. I was told that I was going to die. So now I don't remember checking in. I don't remember much after that, except for I'm on the gurney thingy, if you will. I'm in a room. They had the pads ready to go. They had the nitric oxide paste ready to go. My blood pressure, 220 over 130 at that point.
Oh my God.
Now there's a nurse that's a patient of mine. All right. She's holding my hand. She's rubbing my hand. She's like, you're going to be okay. And I looked up and I said, no, I'm going to die. I'm being told I'm going to die. So I was going in and out of consciousness, tunnel vision, and I awoke sometime thereafter with a million tubes in me, breathing apparatus. It was just so bad. And I will tell you, I looked down at my stomach and I said, wow, boy, Dan, you've gained a ton of weight.
Wow. It creeps up when you're busy and you're stressed and you're moving from one place to another and you don't take time to really notice. I get it.
It really just literally comes up on you. And you always say to yourself, oh, you know what, Monday or on the weekend, I'm going to eat a little bit better. I'm going to go for a run. Let me go to the gym. And I did that every now and again, but it was nothing consistent as I was accustomed to.
Yeah. So it sounds like the heart attack, it wasn't like a slam boom. It just happened. Like you sort of like you were working towards it for several days.
I was working towards it. I think in my mind all month. I remember coming home. I live in Monmouth County. I had an office in Middlesex County. I'm traveling south on Route 9 and I stop off at Wendy's and I'm eating a hamburger on the way home. I was so hungry, and that was after eating all day poorly. And I remember pulling over into a gas station and throwing everything out, the Coke, the big thing of Coke. And I said, I can't do this. I can't do it. But it was a situation where I was, as you said, you emotionally eat. I was emotionally eating stress.
Yeah.
I wasn't happy with my physical and my mental being at that particular point. And I knew it was there. I knew it was there.
Wow.
It was the best thing that happened to me, by the way.
Right. Big wake up call. So long as you don't die from it, so long as you didn't die, you had an opportunity to have a do-over, basically.
It was definitively a do-over because when all of it came about, and as we were discussing before, my cholesterol was 500.
Oh my God.
And my triglycerides, which
500. I've never even heard of that.
my triglycerides, which is the big biomarker that you look at today, it was 1,227. It should be less than 150. The cardiologist looked at me, a friend of mine just looked at me and he sat back and he goes, you didn't die. Because he said, these numbers here that you have.
Yeah, no bueno.
No bueno at all. So
wow.
The silver lining is I had to change my lifestyle.
Yep. So, this is really powerful. And I wanted you to come on and talk about this because, so many people in my audience are obese. They struggle with food and weight and obesity. And the problem with any kind of addictive habit is probably the worst symptom of it is denial, and it's so hard. It's so hard to admit what we're really doing to ourselves and how much danger we're really in. Because we're on, the food makes us unconscious. We're in sugar and carb coma all the time. So we're just unconscious, and we're just muddle through, promising to make changes, but, days turn into weeks, turns into months, turns into years. And we just our weight keeps creeping up. And of course our cholesterol gets worse, diabetes, prediabetes, it's all the consequences start stacking up, but we're just muddling through and trying to deny how bad it really is. So I just want people to hear this and really, I want people to wake up. This is no joke. And a diet's not going to fix it. 98% of all diets fail. So you've got to deal with the emotional eating because that's really the underlying cause that people aren't addressing. We all know how to talk about diets and food and weight, but really why, the stress, like you talked about, the stress, our way of living, that is, it's really not an eating problem. It's a living problem. And that's what has to be addressed. So can you talk about the effect literally of stress on your heart?
Oh, stress is that initial component that can bring on the emotional eating. Okay, you're eating poorly at that point in time. It makes you feel really good initially because you eat, you get, you're drinking a sugary cola, you feel good, right? You have that feeling of really good. But then later on, it's worse. You got to get more of that sugar, more of those fats the bad fats into your body. It's just like taking drugs, if you will. You have to reach that threshold, and then that threshold keeps going up and up and up. Next thing you know it, you're all over the place. So you're stressed. What do you do when you're stressed? You can reach for the cookies that are in the office. We have kitchens in our office.
Yeah.
You had cakes all the time. You had bagels all the time. You're busy and you're running around. You're using your brain. You're using your body. And next thing you know it, boy, I have to have another 2 bagels. Because that stress demands it. It demands it. You have to eat that. And that was something that I struggled with clearly during this time, and you and I were discussing before more emotional eating. I grew up in an immigrant family, and so there wasn't a lot of food, and you ate what you had. And now all of a sudden, we have all these employees, we're doing well. You eat, hey, you're
Right.
living,
Sign of abundance.
yeah, there was the sign of abundance, but the abundance was so bad when that food was there. And so, the stress on the heart makes you eat more, makes you eat like junk. And the stress increases your blood pressure, will increase your cholesterol, will increase your triglycerides, your LDLs, which is the bad cholesterol. The good cholesterol, the HDL, starts coming down because of the stress. Stresses your heart, stresses your cardiovascular system. And that was the initial parameters for me. And for a lot of my patients that come in, they're exactly like that. I'm stressed. I have a high stress job, and it could be any type of job. It could be blue collar, white collar, it doesn't matter. People are stressed. People are stressed now with COVID, right? And
No
so
question.
we're seeing an uptick in individuals coming in that are overweight that can lead to that cardiovascular issues. And you said the diabetes and, a metabolic syndrome, big belly, high blood pressure, bad cholesterol is high, good cholesterol is low, insulin resistance, which is your sugar, which leads to that pre-diabetes.
Yeah.
That's eventually what I was diagnosed with, was metabolic syndrome.
Wow. Well, thanks for sharing all that, and what I talk about in my book and in my programs, and I teach my clients is that, there's the thing that people don't realize, that if you're an emotional eater and you have the personality of an emotional eater, like if anybody chronically struggles with food and weight, in my book, they're an emotional eater. Like that's why it's chronic, is because if you don't address the emotional eating, no matter what diets you go on, you're going to go back to the
100% correct.
Yeah.
Because if you don't get to that root cause on the emotional eating,
Yeah.
okay, I mean, what happens a lot of times, Tricia, is that somebody will go on like a Mediterranean type of a diet, but then they go back to the way that they were eating before,
Right.
because they can't change it from what's going on upstairs.
Yeah. And people with the emotional eating personality, I call it the anatomy of the emotional eater, which is 24 personality traits. And
Wow.
one of the top traits is overdoing. So overeaters are overdoers. And so the stress is primarily self-created, because we tend to people please and want people to think we're wonderful. So we take on extra work, or we never say no. We load more and more in our schedule, and we're running around like a chicken with our head cut off. Our stress is increasing. We're getting resentful because we're doing more than our fair share, and nobody's appreciating us. And so before you know it, we are this total, stress case, and we don't know how to slow it down, because it's become a way of life. And this is so Oh, like the story of so many emotional eaters. And again, how silly that to think a diet will fix it, because it's a living problem, not an eating problem. Like, we got to change our way of life.
Right. So exactly right. When an individual comes, a patient comes into the office, we have to make a lot of lifestyle changes in
Amen.
order for this to make it work. You have to change your mindset. You have to change your relationship with food. You have to think of it differently from that emotional aspect, because if you don't, you're going to fail. And when you
Absolutely.
fail, you keep failing again. Then you feel worse about yourself. Now there's more stress that's
Right.
involved.
You
And now you
perpetuate it.
have and now you have that vicious cycle perpetuation. And now you're
Yeah.
eating more, and you're eating even worse as time goes on. So,
Yeah,
you
totally.
know, sure, that overdoer,
Yep. Yep. It's
you know,
well,
you're
yeah.
looking at me and you're like, yeah, I'm going to categorize Dan. There he is. He's the overdoer in this one. Yep.
Overdoer, overthinker. These are all traits of the emotional eater for sure.
Thank you.
So yeah, it's a free consult.
Yeah, right. It's all good.
So, well, great. So what are your top recommendations for people for 2021 to really, make some real heart healthy new choices and new lifestyles changes?
That is a great question. And what we've added into our program, okay, we refer out now to a therapist that can help you from that emotional eating standpoint, because that's not my realm, and
Oh,
I'm
no, no.
not.
I'm sure you don't. I'm glad it's not your realm, because I'm sure you do what you do really well. So I love
Right.
that. But what are
Yeah.
some things just on a physical level that you
Physical
recommend to
level.
people?
Right now, if you can get out and walk a half an hour, 15 minutes out of your house, 15 minutes out. I'm big. All my patients hear that from me. Walk 15 minutes. That's all you need to do.
Right.
15 minutes back. Start off like that. You're not running a 5K. You're not running a 10K. You
Yeah.
haven't done that. Start off simple with that. Start off looking at your diet. What are you eating? Are you addicted to the sugar? Are you addicted to the bad foods, the junk foods? Are you shopping at the food store, right? In the inappropriate aisles? Are you going there? Let's talk about you going to the appropriate aisles. Let's talk about simple things. Let's get some more fruits and vegetables in your diet. Eat the rainbow. Okay, that would be a great thing. How much water are you drinking? Right? Are you drinking
Yeah.
64 ounces of water in a day? Right? Are you drinking, a lot of caffeine? Let's start taking that away. Let's add some wild Pacific type fish, cold water fish such as salmon. Let's add that in. How are you cooking your food? Are you on a grill and you're grilling it? You get those advanced glycation end products because it's all that dark stuff that when you're cooking your
Blackened.
hamburger,
Yeah.
right? Are you eating grass-fed beef or grain-fed beef? Let's go to grass-fed beef. These are some issues. These are some simple tips for success that you can do in order to start eating more healthy for your heart. Very, very simple.
Great suggestions. I love that. And I don't think we can be reminded enough. I mean, I have to say the fruit and vegetable thing is so, invaluable. And I have this little theory about, I got COVID and my boyfriend got COVID. He's older than me. So that I'm sure had something to do with the fact that he got socked with it more than I did. Like, it really,
Mm-hmm.
really, really got to him. But he's also more of a carb guy. He's a cyclist, so he eats a lot of carbs. And
Mm-hmm.
he quit sugar, I have to say, about 3 months before COVID, before he got COVID. He quit sugar because of my quit sugar challenge. So that was good. That was a big improvement. But still, he's a carb guy. And I eat a lot of vegetables, a lot of greens. And so I
Mm-hmm.
kind of joke with them and I'd say, if you eat more vegetables, you won't be as susceptible to getting sick, because I think that was the big differential between how COVID struck his body and how it struck mine.
Right. And that's important to say, because during this time of COVID, we're making sure that those individuals coming in the office are eating a whole plant-based diet. They have to eat a lot of different plant-based. There's those phytonutrients in there that help boost your immune system. Eating that rainbow, it really has a lot of vitamins and minerals, good carbohydrates that can help boost your immunity. And, that is extremely important during this time. No doubt.
Absolutely. Yes. Diet plays such an important role in our health in every
Yes.
way possible. So I love that. Well, thank you so much for giving us these tips and your personal story.
You're welcome.
Hopefully it's a cautionary tale for people who are listening and watching. And I just really appreciate your coming on, Dan. I look forward to being on your podcast as well.
Yes.
So what is your show so people can check it out?
So our podcast is Destination Health, powered by Suburban Wellness Group. You can go on to YouTube and all of the iHeartRadio and so forth, and it's there. And Tricia, we're going to have you on too. I can't wait for that conversation.
Yeah, I look forward to it. Well, thank you so much. I'm glad you're so much healthier now and taking good care of yourself. And I just wish you all the best in 2021. So thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you very much for having me. It's been an honor and a pleasure. And for everybody listening here, thank you for permitting me to share my story.
And I have one parting question for you, Dan. And that is, this being the Heal Your Hunger show, what is your deepest hunger?
Ooh, my deepest hunger is to raise my son, who's 12 years old, correctly, because he's an open book, and I want him to be a good, outstanding citizen.
Sweet. I love that. I just got the chills.
Yes, that's one. That's one of them. That was the first thing that came to my mind.
That's so beautiful. That's what I wanted. So thanks so much. Great to have you on the show.
Thank you very much.
And thanks everybody for tuning in. I'll see you in the next show. And please, if you haven't rated the show yet, give us 5 stars so other people can find the show and have a listen. So blessings to everybody. And I hope to see you all on the Quit Sugar Challenge coming up soon. Just go to quitsugarchallenge.com. Take care.
If you enjoyed this podcast and want to get free support, insider health info, exclusive invites to events, and more, visit healyourhunger.com.